Fiddlesticks has always been one of the most terrifying champions in League since he came out in 2009, instilling fear in both the champions of the Rift
Help me.
Definitely better.
and summoners with his ability to completely win a team fight.
Gets the awesome ultimate. He has Zonias, so he destroys them all with his AoE. He knows the game is over, though. He's just having some fun.
While Fiddlesticks has fluctuated in popularity for most of his tenure in the league, he never falls far below a 5% pick rate and a 52% win rate. While among those players, the vast majority choose to bring him in the jungle, around 92%, an additional 6% of players have latched onto him as a support. Standing head and shoulders above the rest of them is our Korean Fiddlesticks Support main 2 games, 1 analysis. A veteran League of Legends player who's been playing the game since the very beginning of Season 1. While he took the first season to learn and enjoy playing casually, he quickly began his ranked journey in Season 2, taking everything he had learned and maining Janna, working his hardest to finally finish in all the way on top of bronze. He stuck to maining Janna support while adding in a few new support champions all the way until Season 4, where he just barely made it into gold before the season's end. And that's where 2 games 1 analysis's journey as support was put on hiatus. He needed quicker results, so he swapped to maining AD carry, which worked well for him because by Season 8, he was able to hit Master rank maining Misfortune and Ezreal. However, while climbing and queuing for both AD carry and support, he stumbled upon his future lover in Fiddlesticks Support. In Season 9, he continued to play both AD carry and support, switching back and forth between Misfortune and Fiddlesticks, playing nearly over 600 games on both champions, but he found that he simply had more impact and honestly a lot more fun, surprising high elo players with his world-class Fiddlesticks support. He finished the season Grandmaster for the first time ever, and decided to once and for all return to his roots and play support. And I mean, like, could you blame him? Who wants to play AD carry? Now in Season 11, 2 games 1 analysis once again has over 600 games played as Fiddlesticks, and is a true one-trick pony. With a 52% win rate in the best region in the world, he has been able to sustain his Grandmaster status, where he continues to climb higher and higher every day. If you think about Fiddlesticks, there's a few reasons he isn't seen as a typical support pick. For one, he's very squishy and has a comparatively short range pre-level 6, making it hard for him to do much early. Fiddlesticks also is typically seen as a champion who needs to be ahead to have impact, and thus, bringing in less money in the support role can hinder him. Additionally, Fiddlesticks doesn't fit the mold of what a typical AP support looks like with their heavy poke damage. And finally, AD carry players are already scared enough of Thresh Lanterns. Can they really handle a tormented demon spirit beside them? But even with all of these factors against him, 2 games 1 analysis has found a way to make it work. Before minions spawn, he will always place one of his Scarecrow effigies into one of the river brushes or to defend a red or blue buff for his jungler. This can help his team stay safe from invades as well as supply his lane safety from early ganks. Fiddlesticks effigies are up twice as fast as normal yellow trinket wards, so he can effectively always have river warded at all times if those wards are never cleared. Once he gets to lane, he'll level his E ability to start poking the enemy bot lane. This will allow him to start weakening the enemy, earning money if he's picked Spellthief's Edge as his support item, and potentially prevent any counterattack from the enemy if he's able to hit them in the center and silence them as well. This ability does a surprisingly decent amount of damage and costs very little mana. At level 2, he'll level up his Fear or Q ability. This allows him to apply its passive anytime he abuses vision like in the river or lane brush. Take note, however, if he fears an enemy with the passive from his Q, he cannot double the CC on an enemy who's been feared recently. The active portion will instead do 2 times the damage than it normally would. And this is why 2 games 1 analysis maxes Q on Fiddle support. At max level, your fear is a point-and-click 2-second CC, but also can be used as some decent damage if they've already been feared. This can lead to some devastating effects. Leveling his Q level 2 also helps him to thwart engage supports from focusing either him or his AD carry in the bot lane, potentially netting a kill. At level 3, he will level up his W ability, which can be used in a multitude of ways. He can use it to help push out the lane if him and his AD carry want their minions to crash into the enemy turret. help him top off his health or sustain him in fights if the enemy attempt to focus him, and also, and less well known to people, help him check to see if someone is hiding in a brush. Fiddle W can always be used on nearby enemies even if you don't have vision. So if he's next to a brush or bush and sees that the indicator for his W is lit up, he knows an enemy is in there. 2 games 1 analysis will continue this cycle until he hits level 6, where the game now becomes a completely different animal. He now has an extreme ability to do tons of damage by playing around vision, and he'll regularly hide in a river bush, use an effigy and sit in a lane bush, or even hide inside the alcove in bot lane to look for a big ultimate. If he's able to land his ultimate on multiple enemies at the same time, his Q passive will trigger on all of them, fearing them for up to 2 seconds and allowing him to apply some big damage to feared enemies by using his Q's active on them. Mid-game, and even early game under the right circumstances, as Fiddle Support, he'll look for roams around the map. Again, since he maxes Q and gains his Q's passive while he's roaming to other lanes, 2 games 1 analysis can potentially fear the enemy laner and jungler for up to 2 seconds each, depending on what level he is, giving his team an easy time bursting down the opponents while they run around screaming. Having his ultimate available also gives him the ability to take some surprising gank angles, just like Jungle Fiddle. He uses this in conjunction with his vision control to surprise unsuspecting enemies with his teammates. He'll regularly save his ultimate for big objectives like Dragon, Rift Herald, or a tower push to help his team start to capitalize on macro play. With the stopwatch he gets from his runes, he's also able to cause chaos and pull attention to himself while his team proceeds to either clean up or straight up win the fight. When 2 games 1 analysis is teamfighting as Fiddle, he's looking to do 3 things. 1. Fear as many enemies as he can with his Q passive and ultimate by playing around vision. This could either mean starting a fight or peeling enemies away from his team mid-fight. The second thing he aims to do is use both his fear and silence on high-value targets. He prioritizes both enemies who are the biggest damage dealers and those who are pushing through to his backline, depending on their threat level. Finally, his main objective is to always serve as a distraction. He is deceptively unkillable when both his W or stasis from stopwatch or Zhonya's is active, and will often place himself in the middle of team fights to divert the attention from the enemy team. Some quick Fiddle tips I just picked up while analyzing 2 games 1 analysis' games. Vision control is important with Fiddle, and because of this, it's imperative that as Fiddle Support, you use your effigies wisely. As we talked about earlier, effigies cooldown is less than half of what a yelled trinkets is, so there's a bit of leeway. Use them constantly to keep your lane warded, make sure in lane that you are able to go out of sight long enough for your Q passive to trigger, or sweep high traffic areas for enemy wards towards and throughout the whole game. As Fiddle Support, you may think you'd be a murder machine, but you're actually a utility machine. You have the ability to fear the whole enemy team for 2 seconds with a well-placed and timed ultimate, or peel and silence an aggressor trying to jump on your backline. Using these cooldowns wisely and on the highest value targets will get you the most out of your kit. And finally, on Fiddlesticks, you're heavily reliant on cooldowns to make plays. Before you decide to go all in, always make sure you have at least one of your major cooldowns available in both your ultimate or your stopwatch/Zhonya's hourglass. Without them, you should be playing more passively and simply peeling for your team. For his build and runes, 2 games 1 analysis will change them depending on the opposing support. For items, against the tanky engage support, he'll build a Spell Thief's Edge, and against a poke or enchanter support, he'll take a Relic Shield. From there, he'll finish his level 2 boots, favoring mobility boots the majority of the time against supports who can roam, sorcerer's shoes against a less tanky team, and boots of lucidity against teams that require him to use his Q on many targets. Next, he'll begin to rush Zhonya's hourglass before getting a mythic item. This is to lessen the amount of times he dies due to Fiddle's squishiness and his need to go in with his ultimate. From there, he'll either build an Oblivion Orb against teams with a lot of healing, or move into building his mythic item, typically favoring Moonstone Renewer, even after the nerfs, against most teams, or building Imperial Mandate against squishier teams. He'll then finish up his build by either completing the Morellonomicon, or building into a tanky item like Spirit Visage or Frozen Heart depending on the enemy team threats. If the game goes long, he'll eventually pick up an Elixir of Iron or Sorcery. And for his 6th item, and throughout the whole game as a good support does, he's buying pink wards to win the Vision War. For his runes, he'll go a Resolve page against a tanky engage support, or a Sorcery page against Enchanter or Poke support. For the Resolve page, he brings Aftershock to make him tankier when he activates his Q, Fawn of Life to help his AD carry sustain in lane, Bone Plating because it's just the best rune, and Unflinching to allow him to move around in team fights easier. For his Sorcery page, he'll bring Comet to help with poking in lane, Mana Flow to help with mana regeneration since he takes Relic Shields with this page, Transcendence for additional ability haste, and Scorch to once again help with early poking and damage. For both pages, he takes an Inspiration secondary page and brings Perfect Timing for early plays and to reduce the cost of Zhonya's, as well as Cosmic Insight to reduce the cooldown of both his Summoner spells and Zhonya's again. For his Flex runes, he brings 1 ability haste, 1 adaptive force, and either armor or magic resistance depending on the enemy team. And that's really it, y'all. Who would have thought that Fiddlesticks Support can make it all the way up into Grandmaster and in Korea of all of the servers? I really hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did creating it. If you did, help me out. You already know what I'm going to say. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. That'll be awesome so you guys have more visibility on what I'm making in the future. I make one of these a week as of now. And of course, come check me out on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I main support. I try out all these things that I'm showing and explaining to you guys here, and I'd love to see you there with me. For now, I hope you guys are having a great day or evening or whatever it is for y'all, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.